Hey guys and girls, welcome to KWTV, where today we're going to do a little bit of video blogging and a little bit of shopping. The media market behind me has a special discount for, I think it's Black Friday, where they give you 100% or 100 euros off if you bring them an old laptop. So we're going to check out if they carry any MacBook Pros and see if we can pick up a MacBook Pro, a 13-inch one. It's 9 o'clock, it's a little bit early, so first we're going to go for a coffee, then we're going to do a spot of shopping. So why not take you guys along for the ride? So this is the flyer they're putting out, where they actually say that if you bring us an old computer, and it says here, it's in Dutch, but you'll have to read along. It says if you bring your old desktop, netbook, notebook, tablet PC, MacBook, White Pro or Air or iMac, you get €100 discount at the cash register when you buy a new Mac. So that says that the standard Apple price of $11.99 goes minus €100, and you get $1,099 for your price, and you get €50 of iTunes vouchers with that. Now at the moment it's Black Friday as well at the Apple Store, which means that they are selling this model here for $11.99, but today they're doing it for €1,109. So they are €9 more expensive than the media market. It doesn't really make any difference where you buy it, so we're going to take a look. There you go. It's in the bag. So we've gotten €100 off for that old Toshiba old Toshiba laptop. And we got €50 of vouchers for the iTunes Store. So next up we're going to see if we can visit the local Apple Store or Apple reseller for some accessories, because you can buy them there as well. So walk along with me, will you? There, that's all the shopping done. They kind of looked at me funny in the Mac store when I wanted a video adapter or VGA adapter for my MacBook Pro, and I had this big 13-inch sized bag with me, so I guess they were kind of onto me that I bought it somewhere else. But hey, it's a free market, and I did get a good discount. If I can count it all up, it's like €150 off of the original price if I count the 2 vouchers for the iTunes Store, and that ain't bad. So we have the MacBook Pro in the bag, we have the video adapter in the bag. So now we're going to go for some coffee, unwrap it, and we're going to talk about how I'm going to take a look at this thing and upgrade it kind of right away. Okay? So let's have some more coffee. Okay, let's see what we got. We got 2 vouchers for the App Store, so I hope they also work in the standard store, so I can perhaps buy iWork or something for that. We have the amount, which is about $11.99 minus €100 for the old crap that I bought in, minus €50 for the 2 vouchers, but they're going to charge me that. You're going to charge them to me afterwards. So in total, it's going to be, there we go, where is it? €1,099, which is not that bad, with €190 VAT. And then of course you've got the motherload MacBook Pro 13-inch, all the serial numbers and all the crap on the side, and here it says, of course, i5 with all the extra stuff. Let's unpack it. Well, the packaging has changed. We got a nice foamy background here in the back protecting the Mac. And then of course we have the Mac itself. Still a pristine buying experience, but it doesn't feel the same as it used to. This is kind of plasticky and this is kind of cardboardy. It used to be even more spectacular. It feels a little cheaper, so you don't have that same Mac porn experience, but hey, who cares? It's a computer, right? It's not a religious experience. Let's see what's in here. I'll probably need a cable. And of course we have the Mac itself, which we can take out using the little label that we pull here. There it is. Here we have the charger and the CDs, of course. And then there's the Mac with all of the ports, power, Ethernet, Firewire, mini display, 2 USBs, and of course the SD card. CD-ROM drive on the other hand. Where's the Thunderbird one? Thunderbolt one. Oh, that's the Thunderbolt one. That's, yeah. So, where's the VGA one? I guess right next to that. Okay, that is. So, let's open her up. It feels kind of heavy in our hands. 13 inches of nice size. Let's take the plastic off and open her up. Let's open her up. The lid feels very sturdy. There you have it. Beautiful 13-inch display. Nice keys. It doesn't feel a lot different than the MacBook Pro I used to own, except that the touchpad is much bigger to work with. But that's pretty okay. So, okay, let's press the button. Power her up. She should be charged. There she goes. So we're going to go through the initial setup procedure, and then I'll give you some ideas about what she feels like. I'm already calling her a she. That's kind of mildly disturbing, but hey, it works, okay? So, I've got my MacBook Pro a couple of weeks now, about 2 weeks now, and the first thing that I did when I got home was ordered some upgrades. One of the upgrades I immediately ordered, since this baby comes with 4 gigabytes of onboard RAM, was 8 gigabytes of onboard RAM. Now, tip number 1, never ever buy RAM with Apple. It's much too expensive. You can fairly cheaply find very good quality RAM to put in your MacBook. There are two 2 gigabyte sticks in here, so I'm going to replace them with 2 4 gigabyte sticks, and this is DDR3 Apple RAM by Kingston. This is Apple approved RAM for the MacBook that I have. You can go to the website of Kingston, you can enter your MacBook model and the year it was built, early 2009, late 2009, in my case late 2011, and they will subscribe the right amount of memory. Now, I've ordered the right type of memory at a local reseller in Eindhoven, which brings the total of 8 gigabytes of RAM to 40 euros. So for 40 euros, I'm going to double my onboard RAM. Great, but it gets better. Because the disk that is onboard here is a 5,400 RPM disk. Not really happy with that. One of the things that I did when I ordered my MacBook Pro, my 15-inch, was immediately replace that 5400 disk with a 7200 RPM drive. So I thought about it, you know, maybe I'll just chuck the disk and put in something else, put a 7200 RPM disk in here. But then I was pointed to the people of OWC, Other World Computing, who make an interesting little product. They make an SSD drive. This is a 120 gigabytes SSD drive. Now, putting this in the MacBook Pro would be awesome. I mean, I would have MacBook Air speeds, and I would be able to add MacBook Pro RAM. So I'd have a MacBook Pro with the speed of a MacBook Air because I'm using SSD, but I would lose storage. So the people of OWC have come up with an interesting product. This is nothing more, just open the box here, than an adapter. Why do you need it? It's made out of iron, and it's called the data doubler. And it looks surprisingly like an optical drive. What the data doubler does is the data doubler sits where your optical drive is in your MacBook Pro. Then you take your solid state drive that you just ordered and shove it in here. So you have a second drive. After all, who still needs an optical drive? Not me. You can even buy kits to take the optical drive that you get out of your MacBook into an external enclosure and use it that way. But I'm not really interested in doing that. I'll perhaps order that later on. But what I am going to do is put this 120 gigabyte solid state drive in my MacBook Pro using the data doubler, so I can use the 120 gig drive as a system drive and leave the 500 gigabytes, 5400 RPM drive inside the MacBook, getting me MacBook Pro storage, MacBook Air speed, and super cheap but approved Apple memory by Kingston. Total price, I think the data doubler and the hard drive that I have here is about $224. I'll have to check. I'll put it in the show notes, but it's dirt cheap. You get a video on how to do it, and if you don't have the right equipment, not really an issue, they give you all the screwdrivers that you need. This is the entire kit that they use in their demonstration videos to replace the optical drive with the data doubler, to add the optical drive inside the data doubler, and I also found a video online that lets you watch how to install these two memory modules. So we have the drive, the doubler, the screwdrivers, and the RAM, and more importantly, the MacBook. We have a couple of minutes. Let's upgrade. Okay, now we're getting ready to install all of this, and the first thing that you need to do is take off any rings that you have. If you're wearing a woolen sweater, take it off. You want to clear yourself of static electricity. If you don't want to have one of those fancy wristbands, that's okay. You can just touch I don't know, the central heater or something that's big and iron in your house, the radiator for example, and you'll be grounded. The second thing you need is a manual, and this is the manual by OWC on their website, Otherworld Computing. They will have a high-resolution video on how to exactly put that drive inside your MacBook Pro. And it is very, very important that you keep this video handy because you're gonna need it. You want to follow the instructions step by step, and they will show you exactly how it's done. So we are going to get started. I'm going to watch the video first, and then we're going to open up the MacBook, put in the data doubler, the drive, and here is the RAM that I want in there, and we'll upgrade this baby. So the first thing that I'm doing here, out of scope, is removing the screws. I'm going to start with the top one, and I put the screws kind of chronologically just outside the reach of the screen, and I put them alongside each other so I know which screw goes where. That's the first screw. This is the second screw, and the one in the middle is indeed a little bit longer. So I'm going to put that there. I'll show you with the camera where they are. See, they're nicely arranged over there alongside each other. Third one. There we go. There we go. Fourth one. Kind of hard to get this one. Well, there you go. I removed all of the screws. I'm going to watch the video now, see what they say.
Is to close the MacBook Pro and flip it over.
There we go. Did that, flipped it over.
There are 10 Phillips screws we need to remove.
I did all of the screws.
The 3 on the upper right are longer than the others.
These were the longer ones. Did those first. The video of the videos. Kind of lame, but you know,
you can
just
now
follow
remove
along.
the remaining 7 screws, which are all the same size.
I did that, and they are right here, nicely tiled together. So I have to remember to put those 3 here. And follow along. That went pretty well, but this one I had to
Once the screws
use
are removed,
another
we're gonna lift the
screwdriver.
bottom cover off. We'll need to remove
Okay, now we're going to lift the bottom cover off. I've never done this before, so I'm quite nervous. See, there we go. Oh, that's actually not that hard to do. And there we go. Okay. Now the Mac's open. Now we're going to go with the next step. First, we're going to replace the RAM, and then we're going to do the rest. One of the classic mistakes that you can make now is just start removing the memory. You shouldn't do that because you need to remove the battery connector. And since the battery can no longer be physically removed, you just need to disconnect the connector from the main board. And so we're going to try to do that with this fancy pry tool that we just nudge underneath gently. And I'm really happy that I bought this stuff from OWC. So I'm very gently levering the connector loose. Here it is. And now we're going to remove the RAM. So what you should never do is touch these parts of the memory. Basically what you best do is you only touch the sides. I'm going to put that somewhere here, and underneath there's a second one. This is going to take a little bit more prying. I think we've got it, and we need to gently pull that back in order to get it out, which is a little bit of a bother. There you go, just touch the sides. Put that on the side here. Now we'll open up the RAM. There you go. Very careful here. Only touch the sides, and now we have to wedge that into the second slot, which is quite deep down, but that's fairly easy to do. Second one. Go. Oh, come on. Let's just see. Come on. There you go. Open up that little paper here. Open her up. Gently, very gently, without touching any of the copper parts. Touch that. And just slide that in. That's not correct, see? I have to really push it down. Going to check if it's really pushed down here as well. There you go. Slide that in, push it down, and there we go. That's the upgrade of the RAM. Next up, we're going to remove the optical drive. Now, the optical drive is also connected with these flat cables, and you know, just looking at this is a beautiful piece of technology as you see how slim it's built. What we're going to do is gently pry these loose as well. So using the pry tool, I wouldn't do this without the pry tool because it's very, very, very fine electronics. Just put them under here and gently wiggle it, and then we'll open her up. Next, we'll have to get some screws out, which I'm going to do as you're watching, and then we'll remove the optical drive. Okay, I followed the instructions, and I must say that this baby here was pretty dangerous to do because there are two little snags here that you need to keep on top of the screw holes before you actually replace it. So I removed all of the screws from the optical drive and once again placed them here according to where they came from, and now I gently, while holding this cable back, need to wiggle out my optical drive without snagging on anything. And I must say that this pry tool, as stupid as it looks, is quite invaluable when you want to remove all of this. So this is the optical drive. It's very light. And now we're going to put in the data doubler.
Sounds very British, doesn't it? The data doubler. Basically saying that this goes in there. So that's the next step. Okay, so I've installed the data doubler. What I did have to do is remove the SATA connector off my optical drive and the mounting bracket off of my optical drive in order to connect it to the OWC data doubler, and I inserted the drive in here. What I did have to do is screw in these two mounting brackets to keep it in here pretty stable. Now it's mounted well, but there's quite an amount of pressure here on the connector. I think it's well built and it's sturdy and stuff, but I was a little bit nervous of mounting it, but it does look good now. Everything's installed, and we'll go up to the next part of replacing the optical drive here inside the module. Now we're going to try to put the data doubler back where it belongs without snagging any cables, so we're going to be very careful in sliding all of this in. Looks good. The trick is that I only need to use one original screw, which I have here, with my little screwdriver, to secure the drive. And as you can see, I've made a mistake. I've actually mounted the mounting bracket upside down, so I'll need to kind of correct myself there. We'll just take this off. This is delicate stuff. Let's open that up. Never try to put screws on a main board or anything. Just open that up very carefully and see how fast it happens. Reconnect that one. Here's just do it like that. Okay, I'm going to do this alongside the laptop for a sec. Might be out of the image, but out of screen. But why I do this is because I don't want the screw to fall into the Mac, which would be a serious pain in the ass to get out again. So I'm just mounting that here. There you go. Second screw. Attach it to, there you go. Line that up very carefully. There you go, slide that in. Now we're going to try again. There we go. Very carefully. You have all the time in the world. You shouldn't be drinking coffee when you're doing this. You need to have all of your concentration, and that's how it's going to be placed. Now we're going to take some of the screws that come with the data doubler, because they are of a different length than the ones that come with the original Mac. And I'll show you, because the optical drive is a lot thinner and the screws of the Mac are a lot smaller. I hope you can see this. There you go. And the ones from the data doubler are actually larger, so we need to use these instead of these. So put those back. And this is going to be, we're going to go with an easy one first. This one. And I'm very happy I've got a big lamp here that helps me do this, because quite frankly this is not easy. Having a little bit of trouble here getting the screw in that doesn't really want to fit, which is fun, isn't it? The data doubler is mounted correctly, but the screw somehow does not want to fit. Perhaps I'm taking a screw that's not long enough, but all of the screws are the same length. So I'll see if I can start with this one. For the top one, I do need to take the original one and do that first. That is not a problem. That's installed. There you go. Now for this one, this is going to be a little bit harder, I think. So let's try. Okay, it took me some work getting everything mounted. I think I had to switch over some of the screws to get the right connections going. And right now I'm finalizing all of these very difficult, sorry for that, very delicate connectors and putting them back into place. And boy, dudes, is this ever delicate. I mean, the SATA connector of this baby is so delicate. I just push them on. There you go. Let's just double check. That screw's attached. That one's attached. These are attached. I actually had to, if you can see this, I had to really chip a little bit of paint off the data doubler to have a screw that would fit. That's all pressed down. That looks good. I have some screws to spare, which is not a bad thing to just have a few spares. The drive's attached. The cables are attached. Everything is nicely in place. So next up, we're going to attach the battery connector here. Very gently. Click it in. And now we're going to reattach the hood. Everything's nice. Didn't forget anything. No surgical instruments forgotten inside the patient. Let's just put this back on. The 3 long screws go on the top. There you go. That's 1. And that's 2. And I must say, dudes, I'm pretty nervous because I really hope it's going to boot up and it's going to work. Because when it boots up and everything works, I'll be happy. But it will only be the beginning of what we need to do, because we then need to move our operating system around, and to do that we need software, and we're going to have some copying and stuff going on. So, but first we need to have our little Mac recover from its surgery. There we go. It's nice to do, I mean, this kind of tinkering, but if it's with an old Dell or something, that's okay. But if it's with your baby, it's like pretty nervous. There you go. Okay, moment of truth. Turn it around. I don't have a lot of battery left, but I will probably have enough for an initial boot. So here's, keeping our fingers crossed. There she goes. Let's hope she works. Looks like she's booting. And all I need to do then is check the memory and see if she can find her second drive. Then it's time to copy over stuff. I've never opened up a unibody before, by the way. I thought it was one solid piece of, material, but of course it's not, because then you wouldn't be able to put any hardware in there, now would you? So, oh, okay, come on, baby girl, you can do it. Oh, there she is. There she is. Your computer set is, well, yeah, okay, the date's wrong. And it does read a drive that's not initialized. So we're going to quickly check about this Mac. And about this Mac says, yes, 8 gigabytes of RAM, baby! And the second disk that it wants to initialize is, of course, our data doubler. And there you go, 120 gig Mercury Electra SSD drive, baby. So next up, it's time to clone the OS that is on here on the 500 gigabyte drive to the 120 gigabyte drive and move from there. And for that, we need software. So we're going to do that right now. Okay, time for some dirty screencasting. What I've done is I've downloaded Carbon Copy Cloner, and we're going to launch that up to actually copy our system volume to our new SSD drive. So this Carbon Copy Cloner is an application that you just downloaded. Are you sure it's not malware? Yes. Okay, welcome to Carbon Copy Cloner. Would you like to review? No. Select a source. Macintosh HD. Select a destination. That is going to be a problem because we have not initialized the disk yet. So we're going to initialize this disk. We're going to give it a one partition. There you go. Just call it something. Call it Speedy SSD. Initialize that. Partition it. Because it needs to be partitioned in order to be recognized by Carbon Copy Cloner. There you go. So here's the source, and there's the destination. Now, there is a problem because I have a big user library, which I'm not going to copy over, am I? I'm going to leave that here, am I? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I'm not going to copy my user directories. I'm just going to leave them there. That's not really an issue because we can repoint to them a little bit later on. I want to maintain a backup. What do I have to choose here? That's a good one. Let's see. I don't know what I have to fill in here. Destination. I want to maintain a backup. Archive modified and deleted files. Files and folders. Okay, previously backed up will be updated. I want to maintain a backup. No archiving. Yep. And you can also choose store items from a backup. Files and folders on Speedy that are not present on HD will be left alone. None. Previously backed up on Speedy SSD will be updated only if they're there. Older version of it. Okay. I just want to. I think I'll do a maintain a backup. Customize those settings. What can I do? What should destination? Nothing. Okay. Well, we'll just go with maintain a backup. No archiving. Just copy it over. So there's the source, and that's the destination. And this Carbon Copy Cloner will select the items from the Macintosh HD, which is my system drive, to the Speedy SSD, which is my SSD drive. If you have backed up to this destination in the past, no. Okay, this will do. Clone. Speedy SSD. Oh, not good. I have too much data. Let's see. I tagged that. And let's see if there's anything else on here that's too big. No, I'll be fine, I guess. At least I hope so. Okay, yeah. Normally it should be fine. I've culled the biggest folder, so it should be okay. Clone. This task may delete files. Yes. Continue. Password. Okay. Let's see. There she goes. Okay, now we're going to get some tea, and we hope that when we come back, everything works. Okay, the copy is done, so we're going to boot it up, and we have two partitions here. We have two drives here. We've got the solid state disk here. We have the spinning drive here. Both have a copy of Lion, of course. One has the user files, the other does not. So when we boot up, we need to hold down the Option key in order to tell the computer from which disk he has to boot. So we're going to hold that in. And normally, it's going to show us two drives. Let's see here. Alternatively, if this shouldn't work, I can just choose the correct drive when it comes down to launching, to choosing the system drive in the system preferences. But normally it should give me something to work with, although it does take a little while until it boots up. So I think it's booting up from the classic drive, but we'll just choose that in the settings menu. Yeah, this is the classic drive. This is the classic drive. Now what I'll do is I'll go to System Preferences, and I'll see if I can choose the second drive as a startup drive. Now where do we do that? Startup disk. Here it is, Speedy SSD. We're going to choose that one and restart. So next time it boots up, it's going to boot up from the SSD, which is a great example because we just booted up from a classic drive. Now we're going to boot up from the SSD drive. So let's take a look. This should be the SSD drive. Booting, booting, booting. And booyah. There she is. That does seem considerably faster. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to my System Preferences and I'm going to change the user folder of my user, because right now all my settings are default. As you can see, when I booted up the first time, you could see all my personal settings, but now it just has a plain vanilla look. So we'll have to point that at the correct folder, users and groups. Here's Knightwise. Let me see if I can unlock this. Password. Now what was it again? I think it's not login items, but it's I knew there's something I can do to get these settings. There you go. Just control click advanced options. And now it will ask me where's the home directory for this user. I'm going to choose that one. And I'm going to choose my other drive, which is my Macintosh drive. It uses Knightwise. And here you see is my music and everything. So this is the correct directory. So we're going to say, here is my home drive. I'm going to say, OK. Restart. So now we're going to restart off the SSD drive with my home folder mapped to the classic drive. Oh, that doesn't sound very good. Let's just hope that that doesn't look very good. Let's hope it works when we reboot. Once again, it's fun to do this with you guys, and I'm just looking over my shoulder. Booting up again. What you can see is that the boot time of the SSD is faster. I mean, it's about 5 seconds until I get the new screen, and boom, it's there. So I'll log in, see what that does. There it is. There it is. Dropbox folder has been moved. Ooh. Oh yeah, of course. Relink. Because my Dropbox wants to relink. I already have a Dropbox account. Thank you very much. I'll do that later. But what you can see is that, I mean, everything's back. All my logins are back except for Dropbox, which is having a hard time. And it's a lot faster. I mean, even booting up an application is a lot faster. I'll see if I can boot up something pretty heavy here. Let's go for Final Cut Pro. It should be booting up right now. Hop, 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 hop. There she goes. Well, that's good. It's considerably faster. So I hope you, I'm going to fix the Dropbox issue a little bit later on, but I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of KWTV where I showed you how I got my MacBook and upgraded it using the data doubler from WC Computing and of course some extra RAM. Now I have the Mega Machine MacBook Pro. Let me see, just show you the specs here. MacBook Pro 2.4 gigahertz with 8 gigs of RAM and a 120 gigabyte SSD drive. Absolutely screaming fast for not a lot of money, and you can build this Mac yourself if you want to. So don't let people tell you that once you buy a Mac you can never change it or upgrade it. You can, and you just saw how. Well, that's all we have time for this week on KWTV. Since I'm recording this on the MacBook Pro, I can only say she works like a charm right now. She's really fast in booting up. Final Cut Pro works a lot faster, so the extra RAM and the SSD drive surely have made my MacBook Pro a super powerful little device that actually nobody has. She has the SSD power of a MacBook Air, she has the storage capacity of a MacBook Pro, and she has plenty of memory to go around. Today's lesson is, of course, you don't have to buy the most fancy stuff from Apple just yet. You can just buy something your budget can afford and tinker a little bit yourself. You'll just have to be a little bit crafty with your hands and have some nerves of steel to pry open those little delicate connectors and not have coffee while you're doing it, or you will make a mistake. You take a risk opening it up. Apple might complain about warranty, but I have hacked my Mac into something that I really like. Did a little work for technology, but that technology is surely working for me right now. Well, see you guys on the flip side. We'll be back next episode of KWTV. Until then, I hope you have great holidays. Merry Christmas if you're celebrating that, and Happy New Year if you're not Chinese. And I hope you have a great holiday season coming up. We'll be back at the flip side of perhaps the new year, or perhaps next week, depends on how much time that I have, doing another episode of KWTV or the Knightcast or whatever that there is lined up in my creative bag of tricks. Let technology work for you instead of the other way around. That's the tip I'm going to give you for the new year, and we'll be back. So until then, you can send us email, feedback@knightwise.com. You can follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/knightwise. You can find us on Google Plus or on Facebook, facebook.com/knightwisecom. Or you just go to the website, www.knightwise.com. That's KNIGHTWISE.com, where you'll find the link to the knightwise.com media feed, and that feed will get you all of this content delivered to your podcatcher automatically, which is quite fun, isn't it? Well, see you guys next time. Till then, have fun.